If you're anybody that works out from home and you have kettlebells that you're using, you probably know the benefits of how great of a tool these kettlebells can be for building a stronger body. But often I find that many people don't really know which exercises are the best exercises when it comes to building certain muscle groups. In today's video, I wanted to show you 5 powerful kettlebell exercises that I like to implement, or I like to even recommend for my patients when it comes to building stronger legs. Now, when we're starting off with these exercises, they're going to target all the muscles of the legs, anywhere from our calves, our quads, and even our hamstrings. So if you are somebody that wants to build stronger legs, this video is going to be the right one for you. So the first exercise that we're going to start with when it comes to holding the kettlebell is going to be a goblet squat. You have probably seen many variations of the goblet squat, but I'm going to show you 2 in particular that I love to utilize when I'm training with the kettlebells at home. The first thing we're going to do is first focus on grabbing the kettlebell and holding it right next to our chest. Okay, I often will see some people hold it way out here, and that's just too difficult on the arms. This is not an arm exercise. This is a leg exercise. So we want to keep it close to our chest. Now, how you hold it, whether that's upside down, whether that's on the handle, it really does not matter. It just matters that you can keep a good hold of it and prevent it from falling. Now you're going to get into that squat stance where your feet are about hip width apart, and you're going to basically allow the kettlebell to drop straight down. Now notice with my hips, I'm just shooting my hips backward, allowing the knees to come slightly over the toes. I'm totally fine with that. I'm really trying to keep an upright posture, and then I'm going to stand up all the way. What I'm thinking when I perform this is every time I stand up, I'm pushing my feet into the ground to come to a full upright position. These exercises are great because you can get a really good stimulus when you're training at home, 2 to 3 sets of about 10 reps with each of these exercises. They can be really great, and this one in particular, for building the quadriceps. Now, the variation that I like to add onto the goblet squat sometimes is not just going with a symmetrical stance where my feet are separated and they're even, but almost going into this staggered stance. And it doesn't have to be exaggerated. It doesn't have to go too far out behind me. But basically, I'll hold that same kettlebell at the front here, and I'm going to stagger my stance, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do kind of like a kickstand squat. And this can be really good because it's going to train your calves as well as your quads. So that goblet squat, very, very powerful exercise that you can utilize. Next one we're going to get into is a Cossack squat. This is very similar to a side lunge, right? So when I step out to the side, I shift all of my body weight to that one leg. This is working one leg or single leg training at a time. And what this is doing is that opposite leg is straight. This front leg is targeting the quadriceps and really focusing on lowering myself down slowly. And to add some weight, we're going to do the same thing, kind of like the goblet squat. We're going to hold that kettlebell near our chest, and we're going to step out to the side and allow the knee to track over the foot. Okay? Our goal is to maintain an upright posture. The weight is going to want to pull you forward, but you have to really focus on pulling those shoulder blades back and allowing the kettlebell to stay close to your center of mass so that you can really load those legs efficiently. Okay, if you start to pull it out too far over, this is getting into a lot of strain on the lower back. So that Cossack squat is the next exercise that I like to implement to build the legs. Now, a good leg program is not efficient if you don't have lunges, and not just any lunges, but in particular, back step lunges. Why do I like back step lunges? Because those tend to be more tolerated, especially for folks that have knee pain. Stepping forward can often cause more knee pain for individuals. So how can we keep this safe? A lot of times we will incorporate some backwards or step back lunges. And this is great with using the kettlebell. If you need to put a pad or something behind you, that's totally fine so that the knee can drop down to the pad. But I'm obviously showing you without the pad. And so what you're going to do is there's a few different ways that you can hold the kettlebell. You can hold it at its side. You can hold it with 2 hands right here. You can also hold it just even in one hand, but in that front position here, okay? I'm gonna show you at its side because I have one kettlebell here. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start off by standing up straight. I'm gonna send the left leg backwards, trying my best to keep my torso just slightly forward, okay? I'm not fully upright, but I'm not bending over like a deadlift. It's just slightly forward. I'm gonna lunge back till my knee touches the ground, and then I'm gonna stand up. Then I will do the opposite side. I'm gonna step back, torso slightly forward, come back down, step up. Now when I'm doing this, I wanna make sure that with each of these exercises that you are going slow and controlled. It doesn't make sense for us to go too fast where we're really not feeling the muscles that we're trying to target or the muscles that we're trying to focus on. Now that we've gone over our step back lunge to really target the quads, now we're gonna move on to a single leg Romanian deadlift that's gonna focus more on the posterior chain. These are our glutes, these are our hamstrings, and our lower back muscles. So what I'm gonna do here is, unlike a single leg deadlift, I like the ability to perform a kickstand. And so what this does is it just gives me better balance so I'm not falling over. Although it's very important to incorporate balance exercises as we get older to help improve and sharpen our balance, we still want to make sure that the exercise is easy enough for us to perform and not too challenging where we're falling over and we just can't do 3 or 4 reps at a time. So the kickstand is a great introduction for some balance exercises because it gives me that double leg support, okay? So I'm holding the kettlebell in my left hand and I have my right leg staggered forward and my left leg behind me, and all I'm gonna do is focus on a slight hip hinge. So I'm bending at my hip, I'm reaching down with that kettlebell towards that front leg, and then I'm gonna stand up. Notice the position of my foot on my back leg is I'm primarily on my toes, okay? I'm in that kickstand position, and it's really just there for balance. Once again, I'm gonna stand up tall, I'm gonna hip hinge, bring that kettlebell down towards that front leg, and then stand back upright, okay? I like to do about 8 to 10 reps on one side, then I'll set the kettlebell down, then I'll get in my position once again, pick up the kettlebell, and I'm gonna go down to that front leg and then stand back up. I love this too because you get this kind of slight rotation where you're turning into this hip, and this gets a great glute exercise on this left side, and after 8 to 10 reps, you're gonna feel a very, very good burn there. And that's what we're searching for. We're searching for targeting and strengthening those glutes. Now the last exercise that I wanna go over that is very great for using kettlebells is an offset deadlift. So we showed you just now a kickstand deadlift, primarily in a single leg position to train one leg at a time. But now we're gonna teach you an offset deadlift using one kettlebell. So this is essentially where you're standing beside the kettlebell, okay? And this is going to train your core muscles. You're really having to resist the weight from pulling you over. So just like in a traditional deadlift where you reach down towards the ground to pick up your barbell or you pick up your kettlebell, now you have the weight on one side and you're gonna have to really use your core muscles and your core stability to counterbalance that force that's pulling you over. So I'm gonna stand up nice and straight, I'm gonna bend at my hips, I'm gonna pick up the weight, and I'm gonna stand upright. Obviously, this is challenging because the heavier the weight, the more that weight's gonna wanna pull you over as you're standing up. And my goal is to see if I can stand up and stay in a nice symmetrical posture as I'm going down each time. And this is good because this really, really challenges a lot of your core muscles, a lot of the muscles of the shoulder blades and the shoulder, and it's great for grip. We forget how powerful incorporating kettlebells can be, not just for training different muscle groups, but also for training your grip because you're having to hold on to the kettlebell. There you have it. Those are some of my favorite kettlebell exercises that you can utilize to build stronger leg from home. If you want more tips on how to incorporate kettlebells like this on other muscle groups, make sure to check out the playlist I created right here.